How do I create variables? I know that some other languages, such as PHP, support a concept of variable names, that is, the contents of a string can be used as part of a variable name. I heard that this is a bad idea in general, but I think it would solve some problems I have in my Python code. Is it possible to do something like this in Python? What can go wrong? If you are just trying to look up an existing variable by its name, see how can I select a variable by string, name? However, first consider whether you can reorganize the code to avoid that need, following the advice in this question.
You can use dictionaries to accomplish this. Dictionaries are stores of keys and values. You can use variable key names to achieve the effect of variables without the security risk. For cases where you're thinking of doing something like a list may be more appropriate than a dict. A list represents an ordered sequence of objects, with integer indices. For ordered sequences, lists are more convenient than dicts with integer keys, because lists support iteration in index order, slicing, append, and other operations that would require awkward key management with a dict.
Use the built-in getIter function to get an attribute on an object by name. Modify the name as needed.
It's not a good idea. If you are accessing a global variable, you can use globals. If you want to access a variable in the local scope, you can use locals, but you cannot assign values to the returned dict. A better solution is to use getIter or store your variables in a dictionary and then access them by name.
New coders sometimes write code like this. The coder is then left with a pile of named variables, with the coding effort of OMN, where M is the number of named variables and N is the number of times that group of variables needs to be accessed, including creation. The more astute beginner observes that the only difference in each of those lines is a number that changes based on a rule, and decides to use a loop. However, they get stuck on how to dynamically create those variable names, and may try something like this. They soon find that this does not work. If the program requires arbitrary variable names, a dictionary is the best choice, as explained in other answers. However, if you're simply trying to create many variables and you don't mind referring to them with a sequence of integers, you're probably looking for a list. This is particularly true if your data are homogeneous, such as daily temperature readings, weekly quiz scores, or a grid of graphical widgets. This can be assembled as follows. This list can also be created in one line with a comprehension. The result in either case is a populated list, with the first element accessed with my underscore calculator dot button 0, the next with my underscore calculator dot buttons 1, and so on. The base variable name becomes the name of the list and the varying identifier is used to access it. Finally, don't forget other data structures, such as the set. This is similar to a dictionary, except that each name doesn't have a value attached to it. If you simply need a bag of objects, this can be a great choice. Instead of something like this, you will have this. Use a list for a sequence of similar objects, a set for an arbitrarily ordered bag of objects, or a dict for a bag of names with associated values.
Whenever you want to use variables, it's probably better to use a dictionary. So instead of writing, you write This way you won't accidentally overwrite previously existing variables, which is the security aspect, and you can have different namespaces.
If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing.